The year is 1846, and the air on Nantucket Island, Massachusetts, is thick with the scent of salt and melancholy. This tiny, wind-swept sandbar, 30 miles off Cape Cod, is not just a town. It is the whaling capital of the world, the epicenter of American economic power, its oil fueling the lamps of London and New York. But while the men were masters of the sea, harpooning leviathans in the Pacific, a demographic disaster was quietly brewing. The City of Women. To grasp the scale, consider this. By 1846, Nantucket had a population of around 9,000, and fully 90% of the adult men were absent, spread across the globe on voyages that lasted 3, 4, even 5 years. The island had effectively become a city of women. This wasn't a fragile community. It was a matriarchy forged by necessity. The women ran the stores. They managed the vast fortunes earned from the oil, often through complex power of attorney agreements that allowed them to buy and sell ships and properties. They founded the first lending library, the Athenaeum, a hub of intellectual life. Crucially, they became the world's most avid, desperate followers of global news. Every incoming ship, a brig from the Azores, a schooner from Boston, was swarmed not for cargo, but for letters and shipping manifests. They lived on threads of information. The silence and the scourge. Then came the year of the silence. Starting in late 1844, the number of returning ships carrying full oil barrels began to dwindle. Soon, it wasn't just low yield, it was ships not returning at all. The Pacific, their hunting ground, was a vast, unforgiving void. By the summer of 1846, the anxiety curdled into panic. 19 major Nantucket whaling vessels were overdue, their last reported positions scattered across the treacherous whaling grounds off the coast of Japan and the South American continent. The island's economy was facing ruin, but more devastatingly, nearly 400 Nantucket families were in limbo. Were the men dead, captured, stranded? The women, hardened by years of waiting, were now facing the most cruel of fates, widows without proof. Without a formal declaration of death, they couldn't claim the men's estates, nor could they fully remarry or move on. The men of Nantucket had always faced the dangers of the whale, the storm, and the wreck. But this silence was different. It was organized, complete, and terrifying. The unbelievable discovery. The turning point was one cold day in November 1846. A small, battered merchant vessel, the Triton, limped into Nantucket Harbor after a grueling trip from Honolulu. Its captain carried a bewildering document, a hand-drawn chart and a cryptic note penned by a fellow whaler in the Sandwich Islands, Hawaii. The note, written in hasty sea-stained script, claimed to have found the solution to the mystery. It led the women not to a graveyard, but to a secret naval concentration. The Triton's captain explained that, due to escalating tensions between the United States and Mexico and the growing ambition of other maritime powers, specifically Great Britain, a massive covert naval operation was underway. The most experienced captains, including the best from Nantucket, had been conscripted, or more accurately, strongly encouraged by the U.S. government into a secret mission. Their heavily laden whaling ships, with their massive hulls and long-range capacity, were deemed perfect for a strategic operation. The Phantom Fleet wasn't sunk, it had been secretly requisitioned. The revelation of the USS Leviathan. The stunning truth was this. The 19 missing ships, including the famed Eskimo and the indomitable Pequod, yes, the very ship that inspired Melville, who was later writing his novel based on this era, had been grouped into a shadow task force. They weren't chasing sperm whales. They were establishing a secret deep Pacific supply chain and surveillance network, anticipating a conflict with Mexico that would soon draw the U.S. Navy far west. They were provisioning the future bases that would anchor American influence in the Pacific, from California to the distant shores of Asia. They had been ordered to maintain absolute radio silence, a logistical pre-telegraphic blackout enforced by a U.S. naval SEAL, to prevent any European power from knowing the full extent of America's reach into the Pacific. The wailing widows had not just been running a town, their missing husbands had been building a naval empire. The homecoming. When the first of the Phantom Fleet finally returned, not laden with oil, but with maps, naval supplies, and an air of classified mission, the celebration wasn't just joy, it was a national revelation. The women of Nantucket, who had maintained the home front during the most silent, frightening period of the island's history, were hailed as the true architects of American maritime resilience. Their sacrifice, the years of uncertainty, was the secret tax paid for American expansion into the Pacific. Nantucket never quite recovered its whaling dominance after this era, partly due to the discovery of oil in Pennsylvania, but its legend remains. The tiny island that wasn't just a place for men to leave, but a stronghold where the women waited, ran the economy, and unknowingly supported one of the greatest secret naval maneuvers of the 19th century. It was the ultimate story of American grit and the hidden cost of destiny.